Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. You have this movie where you co-wrote and you wrote, and you have your daughter starring in it. How did this come about?
You know, it was a conversation with her about music. She's a musician her whole life, and you know, we were talking about, is there a way to take the two art forms and blend them a bit? You know, in the music industry, kind of now they just kind of put their music out for free. Everyone just puts it out. It's ubiquitous, and artists it's just there, the whole album, and you passively accept it on Spotify or whatever it is. Is there a way that you can really experience it like in the old way, you know, where we used to go and get an album and put the album on and read the thing and cherish the experience, and the world stops for a second. Take that, and can we combine that with the experience of going to a concert and watching a thriller? And we talked a lot about Purple Rain, her and I, and this wasn't even for me to direct. Mm-hmm. This was just an idea I was coming up with her and saying, you know, you could write, you're capable of writing an album for a narrative where the characters listen to the music. And then we started talking, well, maybe it takes place in an arena. Maybe the thriller is they're trying to catch somebody, and you know, and I started to evolve. And then when I said, oh, we could do it from his point of view, and you don't realize that you've fallen in love with this guy, I was like, ooh, I know exactly how to do this. I would love to do this. So it kind of organically, and I think not thinking of it as a movie for me freed me a little bit, because I was just playful in a way that was freeing.
Then you decided to direct it, and she's acting in it. It's one thing if she's coming in to sing a couple of songs or create a couple of songs, but what went into saying, we want you to be in part of it, having no acting experience?
You know, it was always part of the intention of it is these two individuals, this killer and this singer, and they represent two different philosophies about compartmentalization versus being connected to the whole world, and which is the better, those ideologies battling each other in this film. And for me, I had directed Saleka in this audition a while ago for a TV show, which she was very much considered for the lead of this very, very prominent show. And I was directing her, and there was one take she did when I was auditioning with her, and I was like, Saleka, that was amazing what you just did. And she's very kind of pure, like a child, so I'm able to kind of just say something about the character. And so I'm used to directing kind of those with like clean instincts, but they don't have any craft, and then the hyper-trained actor, you know, like Josh is, or Broadway-trained actors, you know, like James McAvoy, that the highest level actors who have also learned to get pure again. And so those two, I feel very comfortable with those two groups.
When you think about Josh, and based on the trailer that we've seen, are we supposed to have any empathy for him? Like, we see that, okay, he is the killer, you know, but are we rooting for him or not?
For sure, you're supposed to root for him. That's the wicked part of it, that you against your own belief system, you're supporting this guy and trying to get him out of this thing, and there's so much about him that you connect with. And there's this obviously dark side to him, but it's fun. I mean, you know, when you watch movies where you're rooting for the bad guy, you're like, why am I rooting for him? This is so against your own will. That was the kind of the wink of the movie.
And just to end it off, this year in particular, you know, you're directing, your daughter's in it, you had another film where your other daughter directed. What's it been like this particular year?
You know, as they're all becoming adults, it's been an interesting personal life of like, your children are not children anymore. They're adults, and they're your peers, and they're teaching you. And I mean, it's so lovely to see them in this world, and espousing things that you believe in, and then really teaching you those values right back. It's been incredible. You know, my pride in them doesn't come from their accomplishments or how the world receives them or whatever accolades they get. It's never from that. It's from, you know, the quiet things that they do. You know, like talent is a process, so it's their process that makes me really proud.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. Here we are. You're playing based on the trailer. Are we supposed to have any empathy for your character?
Yes. I mean, like, here's the thing. It wouldn't be that great a trick if it was just a bad guy and you just kind of like you were afraid of him the whole time. I mean, that's been done over and over again. And like, how creepy do you want to make a serial killer? The trick of this one is to take a thriller, like a 90s style thriller, and look at it from a totally different perspective. It'd be like watching Die Hard from Hans Gruber's perspective, you know? And you want to empathize with your main character, because that's kind of what watching film is about. So it's just kind of a fun exploration of something that you haven't seen before. And I think Knight's really good at that high concept sort of stuff. He's such a talented director.
Your character from the trailer we see that he's taking his daughter out to a concert. Have you done that already, or are you prepared to do that?
I just did it for the first time because my girls are younger, and my middle daughter just turned 7, my oldest daughter's 8, and I took the two of them to Taylor Swift.
Okay, what was that feeling like?
It felt like this, honestly. Like Knight has obviously done it many times in his life. He's a girl dad, and he's gone to a lot of concerts with them, and obviously Saleka performs, and he got that sort of mania that occurs in the audience just right, and we had. I mean, I was able to witness it and like how much effort it took to put on the whole concert, in the midst of also doing the movie, and I think he nailed it. I think he did something amazing, and so it was very similar essentially to what we experienced when we went to Taylor Swift.
How did you want to make this character your own outside of what the script calls for? Sometimes you read the script, it looks great, but then you want to add something to it once you start playing the role.
Well, my whole thing was just I always want to make something that's going to subvert expectations. So that was baked into this role. But what I had to do was just take all of these disparate pieces that Knight had written and make it seem like credibly one person. And in order to do that, I had to spend a lot of time basically just reading about psychopaths, trying to figure out why they would be exactly the way they are. How could you believe that a psychopath could be a loving father? Well, in this instance, that's part of his front, you know? And these characters, these people would have like layers and layers of fronts in front of them because they don't want they don't want to be found out, but also it's impossible for someone to be that monstrous in their normal life, you know? Like they can't get away with it. So he has to have an outlet for it, and that outlet is behind closed doors, and in this case, not even really seen. You just see him cracking, which I love. And I, as an actor, it's a gift of a role because, you know, it's all focused on how he's interacting with the world and why it's different, and so you get to see me perform these things in a weird way, and hopefully it works.
You've worked a long time. I've seen a number of your films. I always wonder, you know, actors can never stop learning. Is there anything you picked up from M. Night's direction, skill set wise for yourself, that makes you, or you can take forward, looking forward to whatever project you do next?
Yeah, I mean, Knight has an enthusiasm and a love for cinema that is infectious. And his being on set and watching him soak in the work that you're doing, like he's watching the movie as an audience member, and knowing that this is his 16th directorial gig and that he's been doing it for 30 years, like, and he still has that enthusiasm. It gives me hope that like I'll be able to continue to be as enthusiastic about what I do as he is, or maybe even just kind of acknowledge like just what it did. And I think it does this for everyone when they're on set with him. It just kind of makes you acknowledge like how much fun it can be to even make something as dark as this. And I want to bring that to everything that I do from now on. I feel like I've always had a little bit of that, but I love the amount of optimism and enthusiasm that Knight has.
Before I let you go, you're working opposite his daughter.
Yeah.
First-time actress, but she's already a singer. You know,
Yeah.
What was that experience like for her? First time, even though she's been in the game through him.
Yeah. Well, she knew a lot about what it looks like to make a film, but she'd never been in one, so she was nervous. And I think she did an amazing job of portraying the character and like pulling off the kind of inconceivably difficult task of writing music that seems like a pop concert, but is also the soundtrack to what's going on in this killer's head. Like that's just, those two things are so disparate, they shouldn't connect. And she was able to make an album that is entirely that and also have it be fun for kids. That's crazy. That's very, 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 that's a talent on a different level.
Congrats on the role. Congrats
Thank you.
to the film.
Thank you very much.
All right. Wilson Morales, Black Film and TV. Here we are. You've obviously watched several of your dad's films. Now you're in it. At what point did he say, I've got this film and I want you to be in it?
I mean, it happened very gradually. It was sort of a concept that we were talking about for a long time, and how to bring film and music together in a project, with one of his movies. And, it started out, I wrote a song for his movie Old, and then I wrote an EP of songs for the TV show Servant as well. So there's all kind of like stepping stones building to this project. And then kind of we came up with this concept of how to bring music into a thriller with a concert and kind of a serial killer at the center. And then he wrote this incredible script. And originally, it was mainly for me to play like a musician kind of in the background, but then as he was writing the script, it kind of became more involved.
Did you have any thoughts about coming into the acting world as opposed to coming in and contributing your music?
I mean, obviously the music part I felt most comfortable with because that's what I know and that's what I do, and I felt comfortable writing for, film. But the acting was a challenge for sure, and I wanted to do it justice and all of this kind of stuff. But my dad really prepped me for it, and we rehearsed a lot and talked about the character a lot. And it felt like very similar to me to performing and recording and writing in a way that's about empathizing with the character and the storyline and, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes.
From what I see, you've got 14 songs.
Yes.
I don't know if I've heard them all in the movie. How many are in the movie?
They're all in
the
yeah,
movie.
Different amounts. So some of them just a little bit, but yeah.
And how long did it take you to say, okay, this, did you have initially 14 or 14 made it?
I mean, he wrote a script where there's spots for 14 songs, so I had to, write something for each spot. There was a few ones that I ended up rewriting because it didn't feel right for that scene, and so I ended up writing a new version of the song. But it was always, had to fill in the scenes of the movie, so. Yeah.
How are you with the films that he's done? Now that you're in one of them, they're thrillers, they're intriguing.
Yes.
You don't know where it's going to go, and that's why it makes his films interesting. Like, I just want to see where it goes.
Yeah, I love it, yeah.
So then you work in opposite Josh and the other actors in there. So, like, is there anything you got from their work that helps you out moving forward? Do you want to stay in this game in terms of an actress or more of a singer?
Yeah, I mean, watching Josh is just incredible. He's the sweetest human, but he's also, like, incredible at his craft, and you can just tell watching him on set, he's dedicated his life to this, and he really, he puts his all into it, and it's just an amazing thing to watch. And so I felt like I just got to learn a lot by being around him and how he treats his art with such respect and everything like that. And he was so kind with me as well and patient with me on set, which I really appreciated. I mean, music will always be the core of everything that I do, but I do love this integration of film with music, whatever that might be. If it means playing a role or if it means writing for film and TV, I'm so, I'm excited by all of those aspects.
Earlier this year, you had your sister come out with a film. Now you have your dad.
Yeah.
Is there anything you've picked up from either one of them moving forward as an actress, skill set wise? At what point was the most daunting experience?
I mean, for me, all of the actings, there's some very intense scenes in the movie, and so I was very scared to go into that, and I wanted to do the character and the scene justice. And I think, empathy for me is like the main thing that I feel like, I don't have the skill of training for many, many years in acting like Josh has. All I have is an ability to empathize and try to think about how I would feel in that situation and if I was this person. And so I think kind of diving into that, and that's, how my dad directs in a way. So it was a challenge, but I feel like I learned a lot.
In some ways, TV and film are still considered church and state. So there's going to be an audience that has not seen Servant, and they just know, just the movies. So when they see your work, one, they're going to be Googling, is she really a singer or is that somebody else?
Yeah.
Is there an album going to come out with this?
Yeah, there'll be an album. All of the 14 songs on the soundtrack will come out with the movie on August 2nd.
And besides this particular music, is there anything else you got coming out?
I mean, I'm going to continue writing. I already have a few songs that I've started that are, for the next project, and I'll always be writing music.
Congratulations on your role. Congrats on the film. Looking forward to see what you do next.
Thank you so much.
Take care.